exists. Quickly secure your home or business and safely evacuate the area.
Hurricane Milton re-strengthened to a Category 5 as it bears down on the Tampa Bay area. Highways have been clogged with people fleeing what is now expected to be one of the most destructive storms on record.
Before making landfall, Milton is now forecast to double in size. That's why officials are warning of conditions that are unsurvivable. Powerful winds could turn debris left from Hurricane Helene into projectiles. And in some places, the life-threatening storm surge might reach as high as 15 feet.
If we get the surge again, I can't imagine. I don't know what will be left, honestly.
We have full team coverage ahead of what could be a once-in-a-century storm. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman is standing by with the latest track. But we start with NBC News correspondent Jay Gray, who's on the ground in Fort Myers, Florida. Jay, good morning. More than 400,000 people across Lee County, that includes Fort Myers, are in those mandatory evacuation zones. From what you're seeing, are people taking those warnings seriously? What are you hearing from residents there?
Yeah, Joan, it's been good to see that a lot of these areas are basically empty where the mandatory evacuations are in place. We were out on Fort Myers Beach yesterday in Fort Myers downtown, and it was really a ghost town, which is great news. You know, the people here understand storms. They've been through many and recently been through some pretty tough storms. We had Helene, and that's still an issue for a lot of people here. But 2 years ago, Ian, which really ravaged this entire region. And I think this storm escalating so quickly and moving in really got their attention. So it's good to see that a lot of people have decided to move to higher ground, move to a shelter, just make sure that they get out of the way of what is a monster storm and still building, by the way, as it heads towards the coast.
As of yesterday evening, we know the Fort Myers mayor said the city dump site for debris from Hurricane Helene, Jay, was officially closed. Were they able to get those streets cleared? It's a real concern. All that debris could be missiles, battering rams when the storm surge and the wind comes.
Yeah, Christina, I mean, it's a great point, and they were very aggressive in trying to clean up the mess that was left behind by Helene. And they did get a lot of it clean, but not all of it. And that is a big concern for a lot of people right now, that you still have these piles of debris. And in some areas, we're talking piles that are 2 stories high, if you can imagine, especially out on Fort Myers Beach. And so that's why it became much more critical for people not only to leave the area because of the wind and rain, but because that debris can become projectiles and be very dangerous.
So, Jamie, parts of Florida's Gulf Coast are going to start to feel the impacts from Milton in just the coming hours. First the rain, then winds later today. For those who've moved to shelters or even those who are staying put, what types of resources are available?
Yeah, right now what we're hearing is there are 13 shelters available in this area in Lee County, and many of them open to pets too, so that's very important. A lot of people at times say we don't want to leave if we can't take our pets, so they've got a place to go. What they're telling you is to make sure you bring at least 3 days of clothing, of medication, and just the essentials that you may need. Bring a pillow and blanket if you can as well. The resources available to those that are riding it out will be response teams, but they're also very quick to point out, Joe and Christine, that once the wind reaches about 40, 45 miles an hour, you're riding this out on your own if you've made that decision. They'll get in and help you as quickly as they can after the storm passes, but they're not going to put responders in harm's way to get to you during the storm, and especially at the height of the storm.
Important information there. You know, in an interview with MSNBC yesterday, the mayor of Fort Myers also said he's never been more worried about a storm in his life. And he was a police officer in the city for more than 2 decades. What are officials' biggest concern at this point?
You know, it's very interesting because I talked to the mayor last night as well, and he was in Ian, said Ian was the worst thing he had ever seen as far as the storm is concerned, and that he just felt worse about what's coming his way. So there is a big concern, not only for the storm surge, which could be massive here in the Fort Myers area, but also the wind ripping apart some of the areas that are barely pieced back together after Ian, and then that wind-driven rain that's just going to push into areas where it's not supposed to be. And so it's really a triple threat here with the wind, the rain, and the surge, and it's at a height that we don't normally see. This is a storm, like I mentioned earlier, that is seeming to gain intensity as well as a larger wind path, or a footprint, if you will, as it moves toward the west coast of the peninsula right now. And so that's something that's very disturbing for a lot of people. If there is a sliver of a bit of good news, it's the fact that the speed of this storm has picked up a bit. And so it's not going to linger. It's going to move across rather quickly. But when it does, there's a big concern, Christine, Joe, that it's going to leave quite a mark.
All right, Jay, thank you for your reporting. Please continue to stay safe throughout the day here.
Right now, for the latest on the hurricane's timing, path, and size, let's bring in NBC meteorologist Michelle Grossman.
Michelle, good morning. So, Milton, less than 24 hours from landfall now. What is Florida looking at?
Hi there, guys. Yeah, we're about 19 hours away, so that window is quickly closing to prepare for this hurricane. We are still looking at a dire situation, really a heartbreaking situation. There are people waking up this morning not knowing if their house is going to be standing tomorrow as the storm moves offshore. Landfall tonight anywhere between 8 p.m., 10 p.m. into the early morning hours of Thursday. So let's get to the latest information, because we are watching this barrel across the Gulf. Now, remember, the Gulf is supercharged. We're looking at water temperatures, record-breaking water temperatures. That is fuel for this storm, and that's why we saw that increase once again to a Category 5 storm. We're going to keep that category strength for a bit. It was going to wobble back to a 4, and then we're going to see it move onshore tonight in the overnight hours as a major hurricane. So it's really just using that fuel. We're already starting to see some outer rain bands moving through the state of Florida. We're going to really see them pick up through the later morning hours, the early afternoon hours. And then we're going to see those winds really gust by later on this evening, and then things quickly go downhill by the later part of the night into the overnight. Let's take a look at these numbers. 168 miles per hour, a huge, massive storm. This is catastrophic. It is record-breaking. It is life-threatening. We can't say those words enough. Category 5 storm. As Jay mentioned, it has picked up in speed compared to yesterday. We're looking at the movement northeast at 14 miles per hour, so it will move quickly. We want that to happen with a tropical storm simply because it holds so much water, so we want it in and out. Still, though, we're going to see catastrophic flooding, life-threatening flash flooding in some cases, because we will see 18-plus inches in some spots. Now, as we go throughout time here with this path, this is the latest path. As of the latest advisory, we're going to keep that strength of Category 5 to a Category 4 as we go throughout the day. Then, as it gets closer to the coastline, the west coast of Florida, it's going to encounter a little dry air, a little wind shear. Those are two ingredients kind of tears down a storm, but it's not going to have a lot of time to tear that down. So we are still anticipating a major hurricane as it moves onshore. And then notice by Thursday at 2 o'clock, still on the east coast of Florida, a Category 1 storm. We're going to hold this strength as we go throughout the afternoon hours of Thursday. Tropical alerts, they're extensive from the Carolinas to the panhandle of Florida down to southern Florida, the Bahamas, and also the Keys. Notice that bright red color. That's your hurricane warning. Orlando, Tampa, Fort Pierce, Fort Myers under that hurricane warning. Again, we will see those conditions really deteriorate as we go throughout the later part of the day, afternoon into the evening hours. This is a big one. 17 million people at risk for flash flooding, for river flooding, extensive street flooding. Hopefully you heeded the warnings, because we will not be able to travel on any of these roads. We won't be able to evacuate later. And storm surge. This will be the legacy of the storm, a storm surge of up to 15 feet in some spots. That is extensive. It's catastrophic. It's life-threatening. It's unsurvivable. It will move in fast. It will move in furious. This will be a wall of water that pushes in. It's not going to trickle in. So again, guys, we're going to be watching that very, very closely. Another thing is, we'll end it here because we're looking at winds gusting over 110 miles per hour. What is that going to do? Power outages, not just days, but we're going to be talking weeks. This is going to be a story for a long time to come. Back to you.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. Just, unsurvivable storm surges.
Every adjective, every adverb you can think of applies to this one.
Thanks, Michelle. For more on what officials in the area are doing to get ready for Hurricane Milton, I want to bring in Chief Barbara Tripp of the Tampa Fire Department. Thanks for taking some time for us. I know it's very busy for you. Less than 24 hours from Milton making landfall. You're going to start feeling the presence of this storm soon. What are some of the things your department is focused on right now to get your city ready?
The biggest thing, first of all, thank you and good morning. The biggest thing that we're worried about is the community safety. Of course, we had a large storm surge from Hurricane Helene, and of course, some of the families are still trying to recover from that. As we see the storm coming in, and of course, it's definitely uncertain, we're looking at the winds that we're going to be affected by, and of course, down power lines, people without service. And so we're trying to get the community to make sure they get to shelters and get to areas where they can actually get some help.
Chief, most of the area is under an evacuation order. Of course, so much of the Tampa Bay area is on the water or near the water. From what you can tell, are most people obeying those orders? And if not, is it too late to leave now, or can people still get out?
People can still get out, and what has been a blessing by our mayor, we have had law enforcement go door to door in those evacuation areas, warning everyone to please take this storm serious, because, like I said, we just had a situation, and a couple of people did not leave, and of course, they had to result in some difficulties with them and with their family members. So once again, everyone is definitely listening. We've had law enforcement. We received help from the state and the feds. And so we're definitely prepared and not looking forward to it, but we're doing everything we can to make sure the community is safe.
What about the people who don't leave? What is your message to people who think they can hunker down here? And how long do you think it'll be, before you'll be able to get emergency services or any kind of supplies to those people?
So as we continue to communicate with the community, we warned them that we could not get to you if something was to take place because of all the disaster, all of the hazards that would take place, and first responders would not be able to get out. So for the individuals who are not leaving, we're telling them to leave now. And it could be days, you're right, it could be days, it could be weeks, because once again, if the roads are destroyed, if the waters have done a significant damage, it's definitely going to be hard to get to those individuals.
Chief, you just mentioned this. There is still a lot of debris left over from Hurricane Helene, which hit less than 2 weeks ago. How much progress have you made cleaning all of that up? And just how much are you worried about that debris blowing around in the wind or just creating extra hazards when that massive storm surge hits?
So we had 3 prone areas that was really affected. And I must say all the debris that we picked up in 2 of the areas. One of the areas we did everything except probably about 10 to 20%, and which the mayor had our solid waste department working 24/7. That is definitely a big concern, especially with the winds to be over 100 miles per hour and how it's going to affect a lot of the infrastructures that's surrounding the city. So that's why we're telling everyone, if you have that debris in your area, to actually get away from it, to go to shelters until the storm has come and we have made an assessment for you to return to your home.
Chief Barbara Tripp, thank you so much, and best of luck to you in the hours ahead here. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
The White House is sounding the alarm on storm-related disinformation following Hurricane Helene. While there are some legitimate concerns, the volume of misleading information surrounding the federal response is growing. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez has more.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Helene and with Hurricane Milton barreling towards Florida, President Biden is calling misinformation about the federal response un-American.
It puts people in circumstances where they panic, where they really worry. They think we're not being taken care of.
Former President Trump and some of his allies keep spreading false claims.
For one thing, $1 billion was stolen from FEMA to use it for illegal migrants.
That's not true. FEMA has distributed more than $1 billion to shelter migrants, but the agency says that's from a separate government program, not disaster relief. Trump also falsely claims residents are only being offered $750, even though they can qualify for more.
He really lacks empathy on a very basic level to care about the suffering of other people.
On social media, even more outlandish conspiracy theories are exploding, from false claims of FEMA stealing money from donations to the government controlling the weather from Antarctica.
The amount of misinformation just continues to grow unnecessarily. And it's just really creating an interference for us to be able to do the job that we need to do. It prevents them from actually coming in and asking for help.
But we also pressed the FEMA administrator about criticism of the federal response.
The administration was slow to get started. We're only beginning to see that mobilize about a week too late.
Including from Helene survivors.
I hear them say on the radio that FEMA's here, but I haven't seen them.
What do you say to people like her?
I think the best thing that I would say to this is just because you don't see a person wearing a FEMA shirt does not mean that we're not here.
In Florida, there's another political storm brewing between Governor Ron DeSantis and Vice President Kamala Harris. A source familiar with the situation tells NBC News he's refused to take her calls.
It's just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish.
Overnight, DeSantis fired back, saying he did not know she'd called, adding he's spoken with President Biden and Harris has no role in the process.
She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign.
Our thanks to Gabe Gutierrez for that report.
Now let's look at the latest in the race for the White House. Vice President Kamala Harris using her current media blitz to make her case for the nation's highest office while answering some tough questions on how the Biden administration handled the border crisis. Meanwhile, the Trump campaign is now responding to a shocking revelation in a forthcoming book about the former president's relationship with Vladimir Putin during the COVID pandemic. Here's NBC News correspondent Garrett Hake with more.
In her ongoing media blitz, Vice President Harris telling ABC she wouldn't change anything President Biden did.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Later saying she would name a Republican to her cabinet. Former President Trump slamming the response, calling it, quote, her dumbest answer so far, and Biden the worst president in history. While on CBS, Harris was pressed about her record on the border.
Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem, and solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
But the numbers did quadruple.
And the numbers today, because of what we have done, we have cut the flow of illegal immigration by half.
New data obtained by NBC News shows there were 54,000 illegal border crossings last month, the lowest number in 3 years. Meanwhile, Washington Post reporter Bob Woodward writes in a new book that former President Trump secretly sent Russian President Putin COVID tests for his personal use in 2020. Please don't tell anybody you sent these to me, Woodward says Putin told Trump. I don't care, Trump replied. Fine. Woodward citing an unnamed aide who claims Trump may have spoken to Putin as many as 7 times since leaving the White House. NBC News has not confirmed Woodward's reporting. The Trump campaign responding in part, quote, none of these made-up stories by Bob Woodward are true. Harris slamming Trump.
Everybody was scrambling to get these kits, the tests. This guy who is president of the United States is sending them to Russia, to a murderous dictator for his personal use?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.